So today I actually wanted to take y'all through sort of my process on how I make these videos. There's a lot of work that kind of goes into these videos, but at the same time, it's really not that complicated. It's just kind of breaking it down into steps, to be perfectly honest. And so I kind of wanted to do just that, sort of show you step by step how I go through making my videos, sort of little tips and tricks. This should make it a little easier. It should give you a little bit of sort of format that you can follow in order to, make your videos run smoother, make your video editing process run smoother. At the end of the day, as editors, that's all we want to do is just get this done quicker. Please, for the love of God. Right, so without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So right here, real quickly, we are using Adobe Premiere, goated software. If you're not using it, get on the wave. But in all seriousness, if you're using any sort of other video software, everything should work almost the exact same, especially for this. First step, we want to compile all of our footage, right? And so right here we have this. This is where all of our footage is. We can click on this button right here to create bins. These are folders where we'll keep different types of video in, right? So for instance, in this specific video, I have shots of me in my house right at the beginning. Then I have shots of us at the bar. And then lastly, I have shots back at my house, but again, with more people. So I have three sort of separate things. So right here at the very top, I didn't create a bin for this per se, but I do have this separated right here of the two shots of my house. And then I have the shots of us at the bar. All of those shots is in this bin. And then lastly, I have a bin of the shots back at my place, just to get a little bit of organization. It just helps in the long run. It's not the biggest deal, but I promise you, it just makes your life easier. And especially when you're working on projects that take a super long time, you're going to be thanking yourself at the very end, because towards the end, it starts to get cluttered. And as you can see, that's kind of what happened to me at the end of this one. But anyway, so that's how we start. So what's the first step, right? You just want to do what is called a rough cut. So this is literally just laying out all your footage into the timeline right here. And then you're just making cuts specifically where you want them to be. So for this video, I just had this sort of intro scene, not anything crazy. And then it drops to the music right here. And then, I'm just making cuts, right? So I have the intro scene we won't really go too deep into. I just kind of want to focus a little bit more on when the music drops. So the first thing is I'll just make my cuts, right? And in order to do this, you have to have something to make your cut to. So right for this one, I'm using a song called Miss You by Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz. So let's just watch it without anything there. Right, so I have that. So what do? I go to my folder where I wanted to start at freight, and I go through my footage, and I'm just literally timing it to the song. That's as simple as it gets, right? And so for instance, I'll even mute it so it's just the song. So that's literally just taking the footage that I have and cutting it to the beat. As simple as that. Nothing complicated there, just pasting video. One little trick in Adobe Premiere, if you take a clip that you want, say like this, and you're scrubbing through it, and you want only a section of it, you can actually click I to set an endpoint, play through the part that you want to have, and then click O as your out point, and then you can take this and drag it, and then you'll have only the selected part of your footage. Instead of having to drag the entire footage and then make cuts on the timeline. It's just, again, another thing that just makes life so much easier. One more time, you click I to set an endpoint, play it, and then you click O to set an out point, and then you drag your footage. Right, so what's after that? So after you've done your rough cut, then you can sort of do your animations or your zooms, right? So within these footage, you can kind of already tell that this footage is zooming in. See how it kind of zooms in there? It's kind of hard to tell. But I can even take off the effects real quick. Don't worry about it getting smaller. That's besides the point. That's not what I'm talking about. That's just me reframing. But you can see right here, if you look closely, it's not zooming in. Right? We're just walking into freight. But then, if I turn the effects on, obviously it got bigger. That's, again, not the point. It kind of zooms in a little bit. Very subtle thing. Not the biggest deal. But again, it's these little things that make edits like this kind of fun, pleasing to the eye, and it's kind of what catches people's attention. So another sort of minute thing that is very important to keep in mind. So anyway, so right, we've made our rough cut. Now it's time to make our zoom. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm going through each footage, seeing, hey, should I zoom in? Should I reframe? Should I make, something stand out that isn't? That's literally all I'm doing. So what I would do is I would go to a shot like this, go to the very beginning. I would set keyframes right here, and then I would go scrub a little further, and I'd zoom in a little bit, and then I set a keyframe. That's what this one is, and I'll just drag it to the end so we have that zoom effect. I'll do that for all of the footage that I want, and then I move on to the next step, right? So actually, I wanted to add an ambience sound effect. So audio is actually so important in videos like these. Audio is kind of what makes your videos stand out. It's what makes your videos like entirely look professional. And I know it's weird to say audio makes your videos look professional, but I promise you that's just how it works. Don't ask me why. That's just like human psychology. If something sounds really good, it looks really good. That's just how the human brain works. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Get with the program. So the first thing I did is I added this ambient sound effect, and I'm actually going to take off the music to really kind of show you all what I did. So ambience, what is ambience? Ambience is literally just sound of like the atmosphere, right? So like wherever you are, ambience would be the noise that just naturally comes from that specific spot, location, or venue. So for instance, right here, we're at an outside bar, right? So I literally went to Google or YouTube and I just searched like outside bar ambience, right? And this is what I got. It just makes it sound like we're outside at a bar. Super simple, not complicated. One thing to note, so right here, when we're in sort of like the main sort of like hub of the bar, there's going to be a lot more people around, so the bar sounds are going to be louder. Whereas here, we're sort of more on the outer perimeter of the bar. There's not as many people, so I actually turned the volume down right there for the ambience. It's a very short, subtle thing again, but it's just those little things that make these projects even that much better. Next sort of thing, the ambience, when I went back into my house, I changed it from the outside bar. I searched for an indoor bar ambience. Right, so a little different sound. You can hear the echoes from the indoors, right? When you're outside, there's not as many echoes because there's not as many things for the sound waves to bounce off of, right? So you can hear the difference between the ambiences right here. We have the outdoor one, and then we have our indoor one. Just a little different sound. I'm adding it to the video to give it a little more life, right? So now we have the music, we have the ambience, and then last thing is just adding like sound effects. This can take a long time. You don't have to go crazy like I did with it, but it was kind of fun. It's just something that I wanted to do. I haven't done it too much. So now I'm actually just going to play the video with just the sound effects so you can really get an idea of like what I'm talking about, what specifically I'm adding in, okay? And this is also including transition sound effects. So any sort of like swoosh or like movement sort of sound, I'm also talking about these. So here we go. Dude, with Marcus right there, it's so funny. I literally like just added. Oh my god, I don't know why I did this to the man. Marcus was just making this face, and like I don't even know what I was looking for. I think I just looked up like male like groan or grunt, and like that just came up. Oh, it's just funny is all it is. But anyway, those are the sound effects. Again, not super complicated. So like for this one, I just wanted like some sort of water sound effect, right? So like I've actually had people that tell me that like this was their favorite one. I literally just looked up like water, like dropping or like water pouring sound effect. It doesn't even have to be realistic. Obviously this cup is not making that noise right now. It's just like a little thing to add a little bit of touch, a little bit of spice to the video. I just downloaded a water pouring sound effect. Did all the ping pong noises, the camera, ding, swoosh, hey, jumping, all the chest noises, cameras. Again, another one that was like not realistic sound, just like sort of for fun. This is like a wrench noise, but like obviously this eyelash curler is not making a wrench noise. It's just kind of like, I don't know, you get the idea. Like, it's just kind of funny, you know what I mean? Okay, so that's the sound effects. And honestly, that's pretty much it. I guess I can real quickly go over this sort of like beginning transition because there is kind of a cool little effect going on here. Essentially, you have me walking into the closet and then me walking out of the closet at the exact same time. How do I do that? It's a pretty simple effect. Essentially, what you're doing is you have two shots. Both shots are on the exact same tripod. One thing to keep in mind, you have to not move the tripod, and you have to keep your lighting consistent. Otherwise, this effect either won't work or gets extremely hard when you're trying to fix those things in post. The first thing is literally just a video of me walking in to the door. And then the second video is quite literally, you guessed it, me walking out of the door, okay? So essentially, what's going on here is if you look in the timeline, this first one is placed underneath. So if you're not familiar with anything that is placed, so this is a video right here. This is also a video right here. Anything that is placed on top of another video will literally go on top of the video in sort of the preview, right? So since this one, the one of me walking out, is placed on top of the other one, it literally covers the other one. Normally, if I did this, it would cover the entire image. However, what you can do is create something that's called a mask. So I'll show you what that is. So what this blue box is, this is the mask. What it's saying is, hey, for this video, only show this part of it. So anything to the right of this box or anything outside of it will not be shown in the preview, right? If I just hide that first video, and we'll get going, okay? This is what's being shown at the top because of the mask. So again, literally, it's just this video. And we'll get going, okay? And then on top of that, I'm placing this video. Okay. And when you combine the two, and we'll get going, okay? You get a little cool effect like that. I don't know if I explained that very well. If you got to rewatch it. It's not that complicated. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on how to make masks, there's someone that is just so much better than I am at explaining it. But that's kind of the gist. Real quickly, just to give you a little transparency, I did animate the mask. So what I mean by that is I moved the mask a little bit, the mask path, right? So for right here, the mask starts like this, and then you can see I animated it to go all the way across. And so now it's literally just the top video. Right, so at first it was a combination of the bottom video on the right, the top video on the left, and then once I'm kind of in the door and nothing's moving there, I can then move the mask away, and so now it's just a video. There should be no problems. Now I'm actually able to walk into the center of the frame, whereas if I had kept the mask right here, I wouldn't have been able to walk into the center of the frame. I would have been cut in half because of the mask. I hope that makes sense to y'all. I just wanted to give you all sort of an overview of how I edit my videos. I try to be as quick and precise as possible. If there's any sort of questions you want me to go more into detail of, I'd be happy to do so. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. I hope this helped y'all out. I hope y'all learned something from it. Subscribe. I'm going to try to post as much content as I physically possibly can. So